Hello and welcome. Today is Monday, the 23rd of December, 2024. And you're welcome once again to your favorite program, The Review of Tabloids. It is the program where we bring to you analysis and a breakdown of the major news-making stories on newspapers in Cameroon and also across some countries on the African continent. We know that the weekend was a very busy one, especially for municipal councils that have begun voting their budgets, as well as other state entities that are voting their budgets. There was the election of new members of ELECAM on Friday. On the same day, some good news has come for the Cameroon Development Corporation. At least, if everything goes on well, they will be able to enjoy Christmas and New Year without any headache. Not leaving out the graduation of the 39th batch of the Combined Military Academy, EMIA, in Yaoundé. These are some of the stories we shall be looking at, as well as in Nigeria, where the budget has been adopted, but experts are throwing their weight on what will happen as far as that budget is concerned. Also in Ghana, President Nana Akufo-Addo gave a roundup, an assessment of his 8-year term as President of the Republic. We shall be looking about that. And in Kenya, has William Ruto finally eaten his words? We shall find out with Daily Nation this morning. Not leaving out the fact that in South Africa, Johannesburg inhabitants will be celebrating Christmas if nothing is being done without adequate drinking water. We shall delve into that. Joining us on set is our regular man, Henry Kejan. Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Merry Christmas to you and to millions of our televiewers out there.
I almost forgot that Christmas is coming.
We're already in Christmas.
We're already in Christmas.
Today is Christmas. I think we're about...
hours now. Let's just say hours.
About 10 a.m., almost 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So we are fully in Christmas.
Yeah, fully in Christmas.
I was coming to the office and the human jam, the traffic jam, the human jam.
It's enormous.
It was not easy to navigate through to come to the office. You know, everybody is struggling to pick up something for the family.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, and Douala being the hub, the economic hub of the Central African sub-region, you see all the major markets are flooded. All the major
markets are flooded.
Yes, so there's an influx from different parts of the country, from different countries of the region.
Yeah, of the region.
So you can imagine what that means. And we are asking ourselves the question, despite the economic woes, Cameroonians and the people can still make it.
So someone said that people complain that there is no money, but the markets are flooded. Are they going there to steal?
Well, the markets are flooded. Well, I don't think anyone will go for eye shopping these days. It's difficult. You know, you go, you have to pick something. And of course, don't forget that they have budgeted. There are some small thrift organizations that they created.
Exactly.
And so last week, to the best of my knowledge, some actually had to, share the contributions so they could avoid, they could provide for their families.
Well, for some media organs here in Cameroon, they have gone on break, while others have gone to press. And that is why we are here. We shall be kick-starting right away in Central Africa, Cameroon. The 39th batch of the Combined Military Academy, EMIA, have graduated in Yaoundé at a ceremony chaired by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Beti Asomo. He was representing the Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Paul Biya. The soldiers have taken a pledge to defend the fatherland with honor and fidelity. And this 39th batch has been baptized with the name Unity and Patriotism. And you'll get that story on page 4 and 5 of Cameroon Tribune. Of course, this graduation is coming also at the time when the B also has sent out about 1,300 new soldiers. We had about 700 that graduated in Maroa, with about 400 that left the Manoa B in Limbe. We'll look at the time in Henry. Of course, we know that these soldiers are leaving school now for the field in a very challenging context.
Yeah, the context is always challenging because They are not only coming out now because of the fact that they are coming out, but it is because they have to renew the military, just like any other corps, okay, any other professional corps. They have to renew it. Don't forget that we've had a lot of losses, especially for the past 8 years as a result of the conflict in the part of the country. The military published a report on the number of persons who died. I'm talking about military officers who died, be they police, gendarmes, or the army. Yeah, I think they were talking about 1,500 about, but some other sources are saying that there were more than that. Yeah. Okay, so, but then if you look at those who are going out now to join the corps, Cameroon has 40,000 about. Yes. Combined force, the police, the gendarmes, the army, the air force, and the infantry. So it is obvious when you look at spread across the 10 regions of the country, different military sectors and the different units. So 40,000, is it enough? Is it enough to guarantee our territorial, our geographical space that is Cameroon? Some people will think that this figure 40,000, of all, 40,000 is small. Now, when you compare look at other countries, yes, we are talking proportionally to the population and so on and so forth. Look at other nations, it's costly of course, to train those people. It's really costly because we must acknowledge the fact that, well, the government trains them and the government trains them with the money with the taxpayers' money. The government pays them with the taxpayers' money. So they have that obligation, that right to, protect our territory. And we equally have that right to give them that respect. Yes. Now, the other aspect of conduct, code of conduct, etc., well, that is something different. But now we are talking about a case where our territory needs to be protected. This is a good thing. Now, as they are going spread across the different units, the Air Force, the infantry, the specialized squad, the gendarmes, I think that is something commendable to add to the number of people that we have already in the combined forces. Well, there was a conspicuous absence of the commander-in-chief.
Well, he delegated the Minister of Defense.
Yeah, there was a conspicuous absence of the commander-in-chief. He always, he's always been the one, chairing such ceremonies. People will be wondering why this time around he's not around. That is another story too for another day. But I think it's a commendable effort. If they are going out to protect the territory, they should protect the territory. They should not use them, to instead, clamp down on the civilians. That is not the role. If you compare what the other military are doing in other countries, where they protect their citizens and they don't use the military against the citizens. Like we've seen cases here where the army is not supposed to come out. The army, you see them on uniforms on the streets with Kalashnikov and drive. It is frightening. It is absolutely frightening. But in some countries, when you see them like that, you know that there's a state of war. But Cameroon being a country where they think, in fact, we quote and unquote, we say there is the island of peace. We don't need to be seeing military people on the streets, with guns and rifles and everything.
Civil-military cooperation has to be strengthened.
It needs to be strengthened, but the military is supposed to be in the barracks and not on the streets, because we have the security that can handle other aspects of internal security, like the police, the gendarmes, where you can find them in front of financial houses like banks, microfinance institutions, some major markets of business concerns, and so on and so forth. The police is there. The private security agencies are there.
Another story you'll find on Cameroon Tribune is the election or the appointment of some new members into the board of ELECAM. According to Cameroon Tribune, 2 presidential decrees were signed on Friday, which nominated 2 new members to replace those who died, and also the renewal of the others for another 4-year mandate. You'll get that story on page 6 of the paper. Another issue, I'll still go with the word timing. You know, this decree has really raised lots of dust, particularly over the weekend, as we know that elections are coming up in 2025.
Yes, it should raise a lot of dust, but then it is equally an issue of continuity that has to exist. Those who died need to be replaced, but some bookmakers are equally asking the questions, you know, why is it difficult to replace some of the members of parliament who died?
Yeah.
Okay, why was it difficult to go for a rerun, but it's so easy, you know, to replace maybe those at the Constitutional Council and those at the election management body. Elections. Whereas you have the lawmakers who are there, who are not existing again, and who have not been replaced. So even at the level of the centralized units, that is the council or local government. So it's raised a lot of dust, yes, but I think this is a crucial moment. If you look at the fourth and last session of the year 2024, where they actually stressed on the fact that they were doing some adjustments. They use the word adjustments, which means these adjustments should equally consider the fact that they have to replace those people who have to work ahead of the 2025 and 2026 elections.
Yes.
So I don't have any problem or any quarrel with that appointment or those appointments, but I have, like any other Cameroonian, a problem of timing, like you are putting. Why is it that those who were replaced, those who died in the parliament, okay, in the lower and upper houses, have not been replaced yet? So we are asking that question to like you and like any other people.
All right, we now turn to Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Insider this morning on its front page has some good news for workers of the CDC. According to the paper, a whopping 91.7 billion francs CFA has been announced to settle the debt of the Cameroon Development Corporation. According to the paper, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Bairobe, last Friday from Limbe, and before a cross-section of staff of the corporation announced that government was stepping in to pay the debt owed to workers from 2018 to 2022. We understand that this year has been marked by numerous strike actions by disgruntled workers who are demanding 5 years for some of unpaid dues.
That is correct. And, well, if the government has announced that it is going to disburse 91.7 billion, close to 92 billion, it's no small money, from 2018, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That is 24.
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty long. Now, many people have died, but I hope their families will probably benefit from that. And you are talking about last Friday, it was an announcement. If they're probably going to enjoy Christmas, we hope maybe the minister, in announcing that last Friday, the government had already taken measures to make sure this money is already in the accounts of the CDC.
Yes.
So that they could quickly disburse the money, because today is Monday. And if they don't have the money today or latest tomorrow,
they won't have a good Christmas.
They won't have a good Christmas.
Sure.
But anyway, we say money is good all the time. Money is good all the time. It can still come even after Christmas or before New Year. But the important thing is that the money should come so that the families could even put up a smile. Don't forget that when schools will start, I think on the 6th of January.
January.
6th, something like that. Or 9th, about
no,
that.
No, it's the 6th.
It's the 6th, okay. Yeah. Schools will start on the 6th, and you see, the first day children will receive warning. In fact, parents, not children. The children will come with it as their emissaries. They'll come with these things. Some parents already know that they have to complete this, the last installment of the school fees based on the agreement between the school and the parents, because some schools have their different. So these parents who have been suffering, they have been napping in the interim as a result of the conflict, need to put smiles on their faces. So if the government is stepping in to provide close to 92 billion, to reduce, because that's just part of the money.
Yeah, it's part of the money.
Yeah. To reduce that debt, I think it is a good thing for these families. Now the CDC on its own part too is struggling to make sure the workers to go back to the farms. The farms are no more productive.
Yeah.
When you follow the general manager of CDC in Niger, you understand that part of the CDC plantations that are in East Cameroon are the ones that are operational.
Yeah. Yes.
Majority, in fact, all of them are operational. Now, when you look at other plantations, there is a lot of looting, theft of, products.
And even sale of land.
Sale of land, let us just say, the violation of CDC's territory by some wayward Cameroonians. Factories like the one in Masue, Masue has shut down. I'm talking about my 30 there in
Moyoka.
Yeah, Mienja. The factories have shut down because they are not operating again. Okay, the bushes have grown wild. But I think the important thing is CDC is struggling to find a way out. But that is where the government too has to do everything to make sure that, the workers have left. Okay, workers have left. Many have died.
Yeah.
Many have died because of providence. Many have died because of providence. Some have abandoned and they don't even want to come back again.
They don't want to come back.
They'll come and pick their money. It is their due. It is the right money. They'll come and pick the money and then they will go them. So, well, the issue is for the situation to be stabilized. The government has lost a lot of money, because of the situations that we find, not only in the CTC plantations, but, take the whole agricultural sector in general. Take the farmers, take cocoa. Southwest, for example, was the highest producer
of cocoa.
In fact, the greatest production basin in the country with 54%. Now, Southwest is managing to probably even reach 50%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think much needs to be done, but this is a first step.
All right, we look at the media newspaper. The media newspaper talks about 2025 presidential election as well as law and order. And the paper says Atanganji insists and persists that one, Kamto and Cabral are non-partang in 2025. They can't wait for 2032. He also insists that there is no hiding place in Cameroon for criminal NGOs and associations, and insists that illegal and deviant churches will hear from him very soon. Atanganji in his usual ways.
Yes, characteristics of him.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about that lately. There's a lot of ink, a lot of talking on that aspect of illegal churches, and some political leaders who, according to Atanganji, are threatening disorder. We've talked about that. Well, we just wait. He said 15th of February.
Of February, yeah.
When it concerns the churches. So he said 15th of February. So we are going to wait to see what Minister Atanganji will do on that day. And then for the other ones, we know that, well, there is still conflict. Some parties have conflicting situations that need to be addressed. So they will probably handle that.
We still look at the media. The media says that Soweda's budget, that's the Southwest Development Authority, Soweda's budget drops 46% as the funds from the Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development are not forthcoming. How bad is this for rural development in the Southwest region? We know that Soweda has been at the pillar of spearheading rural development initiatives.
Soweda is no more the Soweda we used to know in the yesteryears. Just like Area Development Authority, just like WADA, just like the Noon Area Development Authority, just like, in the... Well, you see, if you had known how agriculture was formerly practiced in the, I'm just saying this, in the Southwest region, because we're talking about Soweda.
Yeah.
You understand better the role of Soweda. If you look at how research institutions used to operate, how extension workers, technicians used to work with the farmers in the farms. They'll really go and inspect. They'll go and teach the farmers certain things on how to go about. But I don't know if those things exist again.
They do? Yeah, they do.
They do?
For Soeda. Soeda has been carrying out over the past year.
Carrying the experts to the farms?
Yes.
Are you sure,
and
Peter?
Even delivering farm inputs and trying to educate these farms. Maybe due to the
Peter,
crisis and other factors, the results may not be what we expect, but they are carrying that.
Okay,
yes.
Good. If that is the case, then good. Now, they say their budget has dropped. Why?
Yes.
Because of the conflict.
Yeah, the funds from the
presidential plan is not coming. Well, maybe the presidential plan, the budget too, the coffers too must have been dried off. Okay, because the government is equally expecting some monies to come in.
Yeah, from external partners.
From external partners. Yes. So I think they could just do with what they have, so that when the monies will come now, they will complete it.
All right. We look at Intégration Municipal. Intégration says, takes us back to the CEMAC Extraordinary Summit and says, Chef d'État de la CEMAC, un sommet des enseignements. I think we have spoken lengthily on this from page 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Another story on Intégration looks at the registration of births. That's late registration of births, and takes the view of the Ministry for Women's Empowerment and Family, whose minister, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena Ondwa, has been throwing more light on the issue of the late registration of births.
Yeah, but you see, it is problematic, late registration of births, right? What do they mean by late registration of births?
Maybe children, maybe people can, or let's say, for example, kids who were born and did not have their birth certificate
established.
Yes, established, and maybe you come 3-4 years later to come for.
And that is the worst thing that should ever happen, in the country. One of the worst things that should happen. Peter, I think a few months ago we talked about this. Once a child is born, if there is a central control unit, once a child is born, it indicates a child is born, and it moves into the central data. Yeah, well, I remember we were talking about this when they were talking about, I think there's a
free distribution of birth certificates in the East.
Yeah. And then we even came up again with when they said students will be having something, the number identification.
Yeah, unique identification number
for students and so on.
Students.
It's the same thing. Once a child is born, even in the remotest environment in this country, that child should be identified instantly. So there must be mechanisms for us to identify children who are born instantly, and it moves into the central unit. In countries that have advanced in their computerized system, I'm not talking about advanced countries, no. I'm talking about countries that have advanced at least in their computerized system. You discover that children are born now, and you see the child's information is already entered into the system. Now they will register the child. What's the child name? They say, no, Kejang Peter. And now, for example, and once all of that is established, it moves into the system.
Into the central base.
This is a male child who's been born at this time, registered and everything. But you will see, we're only waiting when children will be probably getting to the age of school-going age to start looking for when to establish birth certificates and identifying the children. So it becomes problematic. Apart from that, what is the system doing in conjunction with that unit that Fayongo is managing? I don't know how they call it again. Is it Bunek?
Yeah, Bunek.
Bunek. What are they doing?
The civil status registration
so that the system should be computerized, such that every year we are in the metropolis, in the big cities, there are children who are born today that are not identified.
Yeah.
They are not identified. So it is problematic. Because from there we can equally know it helps in too many things. How is our National Institute of Statistics working in line with the Ministry of Social Affairs, the Ministry of Women Affairs, the hospitals, the local government areas, or areas where we have just, a health post.
Health post.
So that they should bring this data very quickly, instantly. They should be coordinated. It's not like they give them money, they chop, and nobody cares until the child is 5 years. Now we start justifying whether this child is Peter's child. We'll go to the court to establish this document or that document. No.
I have to go to court to establish a court judgment.
A court judgment.
Which, of course, takes more time,
and
money.
And now you go again, and you see, we need to avoid certain things so that people should not be stressed off. People should not be stressed off. The child is going to school, the child is school-going age, the child has no birth certificate. The problem is not whether the child has been established a birth certificate and will consider it as a goal. It is a failure to hear that at 7 years, a child is not able to have a birth certificate. How many of them are existing?
And sometimes, even if the child has the birth certificate, let's say if it gets missing, for example, getting another one becomes
it's more difficult than even establishing a birth certificate.
Yes.
So we need to put a system which has to facilitate all these civil status for Cameroonians. You will say we are talking too much. But how comes that we are not able to establish birth certificates for the children? It's a scandal. They use that for planification too, for the country. They use it for planification. How will you know that, okay, this community needs this number of schools? How will you know that this community needs this quantity of water or electricity or health facilities, etc., etc.?
You will get that story on Intégration, which headlines Enregistrement de naissance hors délai, contre-champ aux avis polémistes. Details on page 10 and 11 of the paper. We take a short break, and when we come back, we look at the budget of Nigeria, where experts have begun throwing their weight and getting their impressions on it. Daily Independent is a newspaper from Nigeria this morning. It headlines 47.9 trillion naira 2025 budget, a bold step with unrealistic assumptions. Those are the views of experts. According to the experts sampled by the Daily Independent newspaper, they say the success depends on effective revenue collection, debt management, and addressing inflation, as well as foreign exchange volatility. And Atiku Abubakar, main opposition leader, highlights that the budget lacks fiscal discipline to address problems. Details on page 29 of the paper. It appears that Tinubu...
Yeah, of course. You see, whatever the situation, it's the same thing here.
Tinubu is really on the hot seat.
The same thing here. You know, the budget that was submitted in Parliament, I think it was 7,000 billion or above.
Yeah.
Is very strongly criticized by economists.
Yes.
Okay, strongly criticized by economists. The paradox of all is that our parliamentarians or our members of parliament just discovered it, I think, one week or was it 12 days?
Yeah, 12 days to the end of the session.
How do you read all those voluminous documents in 12 days? And then you make your analysis, you prepare your oversight. So because they wanted everything to pass. So now, in Nigeria, Tinubu submitted a budget of close to 50 trillion. We are talking about 25,000 billions in terms of CFA.
CFA, yeah.
But the budget, they said, is unrealistic because there are major areas. We talked about the defense, infrastructure,
education and health.
Those are the key areas that this budget will probably address, not forgetting, of course, the issue of high cost of living. But they say the budget will not be able to address issues of inflation. Okay, and they say it's too volatile.
Yeah.
In the sense that it will blow off, you know, like that, without addressing the real problems that the Nigerians are going through.
And there's a real problem of effective revenue generation. How are we going to generate? How can you generate, revenue from a population that is already feeling deep holes in their pockets as far as finance is concerned?
That's it. The government will, which means that the government will stress them, because if we go through the budget proposals or the bill, every aspect of revenue generation is in it. You see, one thing is that even with us in the media, I'll tell you something. With us in the media, when the finance law comes, they don't read.
Many don't read.
They don't read.
It's a fact.
We don't read.
Many don't read, yeah.
You need to read and then understand certain aspects.
And some don't even know that there's a finance law.
Yes, you need to read, you understand certain things. You need to read, then you meet now experts to explain to you.
Yes.
They don't read. You know, once they open it, they see the volume, you are discouraged. Take time to go through some of them and they know what the situation is. That is more important. So, well, Tinubu has, in fact, the bill has already passed.
Yes.
So they will have to work out to, the bill has passed. So yes, in fact, it has been enacted. So they have to do everything to make sure they raise the money to tackle the problems that Nigeria is facing.
All right, we move from Daily Independent to Republic Press in Ghana. Akufo-Addo issues parting shots and insists that posterity shall remember him. He was speaking during the celebration of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana Day, which marked its Golden Jubilee in Accra. Akufo-Addo used the occasion to to give an evaluation of his 8-year term as president of the Republic of Ghana.
The posterity will judge him.
Yeah.
So he knows that, well, he has done something.
Yeah. He believes that he has done his best.
He has done his best.
That and only posterity
can judge him.
Yes.
Well, that's good. You know, it's always, well, like we say, when we turn the pages, where the other will pick the bones from where you drop. Okay, just continue. No one can solve the problems of, based on the time frame. And like I said, and I always say, even if you provide water to all the Ghanaians, you give them free,
even here in Cameroon,
free Medicare, free education. You even ask them to go for free food every day.
That free food will become a problem.
Free transportation, free dresses. They will still criticize you. That's human.
And someone will say, why give those things for free?
Yeah, someone will say, why give for free? You pay for.
Yeah.
They will still criticize. Even the person who has it will say, that's something. This is something. So it is obvious that, well, you always face criticisms. But then we are waiting for the next regime. Mahama is coming, right?
Yeah, Mahama is coming.
So let's hope to see where, how he will carry, after he will carry the Ghanaians.
Talking about Mahamat, the NDC issues more threats and vows to reverse last-minute appointments. Just to note that a few days ago, President Nana Akufo-Addo made some appointments across some key sectors of the government administration. And the NDC is questioning why make the late appointments where you are leaving office.
Well, that is something too when it comes to transition. You see, I think they should... those are executive orders sometimes for the president can issue, there can be austerity measures, even if before there can be austerity measures in terms of economic austerity measures that can be taken before power it moves to the next hand, based on the circumstances, on the context of the time. Which means there can be an executive order to handle certain issues which must not be criticized. Now,
or maybe these appointments could have been in the offing.
Now, these appointments, well, some people, I don't know what that means, but I think they should make, who were arrested as a result of the 6th January stuff that happened.
Yeah, protest.
But, you see, the president still has the powers until...
He hands over. Officially.
Officially. Then... And it's not like you are coming to repeal the appointment that has been made. That would like something like score settling and so on. The people can...
Africa, where William Ruto is on the spyglass. We'll find out why. Daily Nation this morning has recorded Ruto's dramatic U-turns and says that President William Ruto, who swept to power through the backing of the majority poor, popularly known as the hustlers, has made a U-turn and sought political protection from the dynasties he aggressively campaigned against. You get that story on page 4 and 5. It is one of the explosive headlines that we have seen on Daily Nation since the start of the year. And according to the paper, critics accuse the president of going back on many campaign promises. If you flip on page 4 and 5, you will find out on the issues which the paper highlights that Ruto has not resolved since he became president.
Just coming back to what we're saying, you cannot solve all the problems, right? You cannot solve all the problems. And Ruto is in the third year of his mandate, right? Is it?
Yeah.
The third year of his mandate. So he still has time, even though this time is not on his side to handle those things.
Because the political and economic state in Kenya is very dicey.
Yeah, it's not very conducive enough for him to handle some of those things. Now, that is why they always tell you, if you are making some promises, campaign promises, be ready to meet up with those promises. Someone made campaign promises now, and then he said, no, we are going to emerge. And then we saw, Cameroon as paradise on earth.
The El Dorado.
An El Dorado. Unfortunately, there were wishes. Okay, but God decides otherwise. And from the time that statement was made, things were, before that statement was made, things were fine. But after that statement, things turned sour. And otherwise, the economic dynamics of the world too is also playing. So you can make campaign promises, yes, good. Things will move probably well in the next 1-2 years. But in the course of the line, along the line, something else happens and everything changes.
But can we say politically, Ruto has been in very serious, or Ruto has been very unstable politically? We remember that Rigathi Gachagua, the vice president with whom they won the election together, was impeached. Could that have really affected his ability to deliver on the promises that he made?
No, I don't think so. That was purely political, different from economic. That was purely political, different from economic.
All right. Still on Daily Nation this morning, the paper has a report from the Ministry of Internal Security and National Administration. Daily Nation reports that some NGOs are funding terrorism actors. According to the paper, the Minister of Internal Security and National Administration, Raymond Omolio, has warned the NGOs against diverting donor funding to support illegal activities. We'll say we can just take this headline and feed it to any newspaper in Cameroon, and the story will still go.
No, just send it to Mr. Kanga.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that is always the trouble with. That's always the trouble. They are always thinking that these monies are used to sponsor terrorism.
Well, for some people, for some opinion leaders, they should understand that perhaps may not just be acting, on its own, and also knowing where to draw the eyes and cut the teeth.
So anyway, I don't want no comment.
Yeah, but let's stay with Kenya. Kenya accusing NGOs of funding terrorism actors.
Yeah, but that is it. It's the same thing that Minister Tanga said. Okay, but now let us look at how have these terrorists been operating. If at all they are using that money to sponsor them, we don't know the terrorists. We don't know the terrorist organizations that are sponsoring them.
Well, we know that because terrorists may not be gun carrying terrorists.
No, but yes, of course. But at least give us the face. Give us the face of the terrorist organizations that have been sponsored by those NGOs. And what effect has that caused the country? What effect, if at all, is it terrorists? You see, you start to draw. You say you draw the devil on your wall, and you will see the devil.
All right, we move to neighboring Uganda from Kenya. The Daily Nation looks at the agriculture sector and says pesticides, the silent killer. According to the paper, experts say the pesticides used in Uganda are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. These, the World Health Organization says, present high levels of acute or chronic hazards to human health and the environment.
Yeah, that's true. See, some of the times you eat food, ask yourself the question: why is it that somebody buys fruit, maybe even from in the farm, from the supermarket, the person eats that fruit, even after washing them well, cleaning them. And then suddenly you hear that he died of food poisoning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's as a result of these pesticides because they stay long in the soil, in the environment, okay, and they still have effect even if you don't apply them again on that same piece of land. Well, the World Health Organization says, they have Now, if you look at the U.S., for example, the U.S. Food Administration, they will tell you that 20% of all the fruits, the food in U.S. market, all the food in my market, 20% are hazardous as a result of pesticides.
Yeah.
So it is problematic. And the World Health Organization published a report that was about in October.
Yeah, in October.
Yes, so now agriculture.
And that,
how do we draw the line between...
that is the question I wanted to ask. This report brings to the question the issue of sustainable agriculture.
Sustainable agriculture. How do we draw the line between using pesticides and then protecting the environment and producing high yields and maybe going without the pesticides and even, especially as we are talking about food crisis in the world.
Food crisis in the world.
It's just like ask you, how do you draw the line between deforestation and development? Okay, deforestation and development, deforestation and agriculture. You want to cultivate large, expansive land. Okay, you have to break down the forest, but you have to produce, maybe like you have to open up plantations.
Yeah.
How do you draw the line between those, those two, breaking down the forest and expanding agriculture? So you need to do what? They need to, like they always tell us, you need to do now, the sustainable agriculture should look at high yield fruits and high yield seeds. So you can produce the same quantity